Welcome, everyone. Today we're going to delve into the Aries-Libra nodal axis, since the nodes entered these signs on July 18th, 2023, and will remain here until January 11th, 2025. Pluto squaring the nodes is an ongoing aspect for around half of 2023, so what this means will also be covered in this video, as well as how Chiron in Aries plays in. The North Node is in Aries, and the South Node is in Libra, and this axis is most often referred to as the axis of Self, Aries, and Other, Libra. As the very first axis of the zodiac, it represents a fundamental part of our psyche as human avatars. Aries, the first zodiac sign, is the first breath, the seed of fire, emerging from the boundless, all-encompassing ocean of Pisces, as an individualized point of energy and is the birth of an awareness of self. In Pisces, all is one unified field of consciousness. This is the bliss of eternal, unconditional love, freely flowing and formless, its waters dissolving what no longer has purpose and inspiring that which now does have purpose. Aries bursts forth from those gentle waters as a flame ready to ignite the world with its presence. It separates from the inseparable, announcing its arrival with the assuredness of its right to be, its right to individual experience. It has the energy of a young seed, impatient to sprout through the earth and emerge from the darkness. It knows instinctively it must grow and become. It is the crucial beginning of anything that thrives and flourishes. Therefore, it is a cardinal sign, the modality that initiates and instigates. Aries does not fear, doubt, or hesitate in its movement. Its instinctual and inspirational qualities have a physical force that seem to compel whatever choices are made, whatever actions are taken. This power and boldness comes from its ruler Mars, the divine masculine, lover, warrior, hunter, protector. Libra is the seventh sign of the zodiac, and the first of the second half of the zodiac. The first 6 signs and houses are often conceived as areas pertaining to the development of the singular self, and the latter half of the zodiac cycle and houses as areas involving those and that which is outside the singular self. Virgo, the sign before Libra, is the last sign where we operate on our own, and it takes final stock of the quality of our energies and how we express them. After Virgo has refined, finessed, and made sacred through a devotion to energetic precision all that has been thus far built and created, Libra now offers that to another for the first time. Everything we have become up until this point is now felt and experienced by others, and as a consequence, we receive their response to us. We are now in relationship, the domain of the divine feminine in the form of Venus, goddess of beauty, love, romance, harmony, and the arts. Venus rules both Taurus and Libra is a different expression of the divine feminine from what we recognize in Taurus as sensual, fertile, and abundant. Taurus is its own natural resource and is therefore self-contained and magnetic. It is independent and draws to itself what it needs through an instinctive ability to stir desire. Libra is an air sign, which conceives and creates beauty from the mind. This is not instinctual, this is deliberate. Libra is relationship, not just in intimacy, in one-to-one interaction, but also our relationship to society and to culture. This makes it a sign very much connected to the human experience and its participation in the harmony of humanity. Creative companionship, as Dane Rudhyar put it. Libra thus acknowledges itself through its interactions, and in their healthiest form are reciprocal, mutually giving, balanced, and have a finesse. Libra loves art that is of a certain quality. There is a standard of beauty that must be met for it to be considered art or aesthetic. And even relating is an art form, one that Libra is naturally skilled at. Its ruler, Venus, gives meaning and value to our human experience through how we feel and relate, and Libra understands what humans value, what is culturally considered as pleasant and pleasing, how to elegantly navigate the landscape of human interactive play. The nodal axes are the nodes of the moon and represent points of destiny in our charts. They are the direction of our life's purpose and carry a karmic force. It is the journey we take from the familiar to the unfamiliar, the south node being the familiar and the north node the unfamiliar. Wherever the north node is in our natal charts or in transit is what we are working towards, cultivating, strengthening, learning to become more prominently, because that is what is being asked of us in this life or at a certain time. The south node is where we already have enough experience operating in a certain way, and it is time to set free patterns of thinking, feeling, acting, and embodying that which no longer has an enriching purpose in our lives, individually and collectively. This does not mean we simply shed and discard the energies of the south node. It means that there is an upgrade, a reboot of even how that south node expresses itself. There is acquired experience, knowledge, skill, talent, and richness wherever the south node is, and in fact we use that to embrace the energies of the north node. This is a natural process because the nodes lie on a zodiac axis, two signs in opposition, which are always in relation to one another. One supports the other, one balances the other, teaching us how to move from polarity and duality to unity, to wholeness. After moving through the north node in Taurus and the south node in Scorpio, we are now dealing with the axis of Aries and Libra. The nodes, unlike the rest of the planets, move clockwise around the chart, which means they move backwards through the signs. So we're not moving from Pisces to Aries, but from Taurus to Aries, and we aren't moving from Virgo to Libra, but Scorpio to Libra. So the energetic progression takes on a different meaning as the nodes travel through the signs. I did a video on the second nodal return in Taurus and Scorpio, which included a closer look at Scorpio energy in particular, because for those born between 1983 and 1986 and have their south node, Saturn, and Pluto, or two of those, in Scorpio, this nodal return was very significant. The link to that video is in the description and has information for anyone who might be interested in a deeper understanding of the Taurus-Scorpio axis. The Taurus-Scorpio nodal journey was about moving away from crisis-oriented living, healing traumatic and painful experiences, becoming aware of how we relate to power, either overpowering others to feel powerful or giving it away to a point of feeling powerless, reorienting our relationship to intimacy and sex so we're engaging in healthy relationships, reorienting our relationship to our finances, our resources, our ability to be independent, recognizing our inner value, recognizing the value of peaceful living, walking away from turbulence and drama and committing to cultivating gentler energies, embodying the energies of abundance, learning deeply about our desire nature, emerging from the underworld, even though there are great riches in that realm, because we are now ready to harness what we learned there to create our lush paradise on earth, whatever that means to us individually. This is a pretty intense axis with fixed earth and water signs that hold a dense energy and very physical, sexual, and sensual in their expression. Now we are in cardinal signs, fire and air. They are lighter, quicker, and they represent new beginnings. So the key is to take what we learned during the last nodal cycle and use Aries and Libra to take that wisdom, that abundance, that power to the next stage. Scorpio's sultry passion, its compulsion towards discovering and revealing the true essence of whatever matters, its skill in harnessing and extracting resources that increase one's power both materially and spiritually, its inherent understanding of the need to die to be reborn, the willingness to transform itself completely when it is time, is now something the Libra parts of our charts and psyches can use to grow out of old ways of operating that no longer serve the highest good for ourselves and others, and transform into a state of feeling empowered in how we relate. Taurus showed us our strength, our endurance, our inner abundance, and for many awakened our desire for external and material abundance. gave us new values and new meaning in how we envision ourselves and a life that feels pleasurable, peaceful, and self-sustaining. Taurus may also have invited us to cultivate a healthier relationship with our bodies, or the importance of how we use our bodies for something that is desirable to us. Taurus is slow, however, and this time was used more to cultivate and build. With Aries in the North Node position, we have velocity and gumption in our arsenal. Cardinal signs, as mentioned, need to initiate something new, and Aries, as the first of all the signs, is pure initiative. Aries is struck by the inspiration or need to do something, and after having developed a new desire nature, understanding the magic of desire and our power to manifest our desires, this fiery buck is just who we need to take action and get things moving quickly, fearlessly. Because Libra is in the South Node position, this is where we need to become conscious of distorted expression of it. Unlike Aries, Libra does hesitate, does question itself, does doubt its value, because it both considers and depends on how it is received and what it receives in return for self-acknowledgement. All interaction serves as a mirror of its beauty, and this is where Libra can lose itself as genuine art in human form and become false, dishonest, and a personification of what it assumes is expected or will provide the response it feels it needs. The need for validation through another or others can become a game of pleasing performance or pretense. This is exhausting in the long run for whoever is embodying Libra in this way, and eventually makes it difficult for one to know who they really are, let alone for others to know. The state of harmony between the self and whoever or whatever the other may represent, partner, group, community, society, whatever we are relating to being of utmost importance, can also result in acceptance of norms and cultures that are in fact unhealthy, toxic, and detrimental to individuals and the collective. Libra has the tendency of conforming to standards set by the public or another. So we're being asked now to pay attention to how we might be doing this and why. Where are we pretending to be something we aren't for the sake of companionship, pleasantry, or validation? Where are we accepting and giving in, where we need to take a stance and be a source of protection of either ourselves or others? Where are we so concerned with the aesthetics of ourselves or a situation pertaining to ourselves that we aren't paying attention to the actual feeling and energetic value behind that? In which areas are we most afraid to be our natural selves because of how that may be received? Where are we afraid to go it alone, trusting ourselves, our instincts, and our inspiration only, without the input of others? Where have we succumbed to the unjust demands of others, and where have we been too demanding of others? Where are we perhaps too transactional in our understanding of giving and receiving? Where are we out of balance? Whatever we become conscious of as being a part of our distorted Libran aspects is what the energy of Aries balances out. Since Aries is in the North Node position, it is something that we are developing, bringing more into our awareness. It isn't already sitting ready and complete now. How we experience these energies is entirely dependent on our natal chart, where we have Aries and Libra, whether we have personal planets and positions in these signs, how strong these signs are in our charts, what kinds of aspects are being made to these signs, where their rulers, Mars and Venus, are and their conditions, and more. Some of us are more familiar naturally with Aries, others with Libra, and that determines how easily we are able to incorporate certain aspects of both signs. However, whenever the North Node is in a sign, familiar or not, it is a time for new ways of relating to it and harnessing it. It is a time for growth for all of us in terms of the Aries part of our charts and psyches. We use the entire 18 months we have in this axis to work through these energies. And towards the end is when we have arrived at a point of, in this case, a stronger, more mature, more efficient Aries, and one who is functioning in greater harmony with its counterpart Libra than before. An interesting point is that when the North Node was in Taurus and the South Node in Scorpio, The north node was ruled by Venus and the south node traditionally by Mars. Now the north node in Aries is ruled by Mars and the south node is ruled by Venus. The rulers have been inverted. In the last cycle, we were focusing on enhancing our inner and divine feminine, and now we're doing the opposite. We're moving towards embracing our inner and divine masculine. Venus and Mars are the divine lovers, and their relationship is passionate, romantic, dynamic, and volatile. But ultimately, they need each other, and we need each of their energies for perfect balance. Venus inspires action and creation by awakening desire. Mars takes that action and asserts itself through its ability to manifest those desires. Venus fills us with feelings of love, joy, and pleasure, and Mars, learning the value of those energies, works to create the conditions that facilitate and protect them. Mars is goal-oriented and unwavering in his pursuits. Venus knows when to take a moment and consider the consequences of any choices and actions, because how everyone feels matters. Mars is highly active and impatient. Venus is present, gentle, and more languid in her movement. Venus is creation. Mars is creator. She is the substance. He is the shaper. When they function together, we are living in perfection. 2 consecutive cycles with the divine feminine and divine masculine as rulers of the nodes means that these 3 years, whenever they come back around, is a time for learning and incorporating these very essential and fundamental principles of feminine and masculine balance. Until January 2025, all of us are gaining more clarity and wisdom in how to honor and embody the instinct, bravery, creativity, lightness, and single-mindedness of our inner masculine. Aries gives us a surety of self, an independent approach, a willingness to take charge, the sacred sense of one's rightful place that enables us to move ahead with our visions, be active and dynamic with our plans, which were inspired and guided by a force beyond the mind. Aries has the blunt audacity to pave its own way. This allows us to act without overthinking. We're no longer curtailed by anxiety. We know what must be done, and we don't require reasoning and justification. We certainly don't require anyone else's agreement or acknowledgement. We are our own team and leader, and this is a beautiful kind of power that is enveloped in a youthful innocence. The enthusiasm, confidence, and personal freedom that Aries brings forth in each of us is something to be cherished at this time, especially if this has been an energy that hasn't been quite so easy to tap into. It is only when we go forth and take that leap, dare to be fools, that there is momentum in life. And the universe responds to this momentum with equal power, supporting our endeavors by supplying us with the opportunities and resources that we need. Aries is the sign, however, that most easily falls out of balance, given it is the youngest sign and a fire sign, which as an element is by nature volatile. Inexperienced and rather ignorant of its impact on the world outside of itself, it can choose to blaze through everyone and everything for the sake of its own expression. It is very impatient. It has no time for whatever it considers a nuisance on its path, delaying its purpose. And it is very martial, seeing competition or antagonism wherever it manifests itself. Anger and irritation can be a tendency when it doesn't get its way, which is the only way when Aries has not yet grown up. Aries literally is the birthing of the ego, because that separation from the collective consciousness of Pisces is what creates the awareness of I am. Aries can easily express a distorted and insecure ego. Opinions or feedback from others on its abilities often a tender spot, as well as a tendency to insist on acting only on its own terms. So we all have to be watchful and cautious during this time as well, ensuring that our courage, our incentive, our impatience, our inspiration, and how we move towards our aspirations is not harmful, unpleasant, and disrespectful to others. Confidence mustn't become arrogance, independence mustn't become discarding, and we must never forget the value of the support and input of others. We must actively work at eliminating any belief of others as adversaries. This is why Libra, on the other side, holder of loving relationship, justice, fairness, balance, harmony, elegance, mindful consideration of others is the perfect counterpart to Aries. A graceful, loving, and mature form of Aries is being asked of us now. Aries does not just exist for itself. It is a warrior, a protector. In its highest form, it protects life and love fiercely. Through Libra, it understands the value of relationship and realizes that without the other or others, its aspirations have no purpose. It recognizes that it doesn't need to compete and win to prove itself. Its energetic and enthusiastic force, which is the beauty of the beginning of a new and glorious cycle that could never be without it, is enough. The kind of unwavering courage Aries shows for the sake of a cause is tremendous. Aries can give its life for what it protects. What matter is enough for us now that beckons that kind of bravery? Who and what needs our protection? Can we begin to see ourselves and our abilities as necessary for something beyond our personal desires? Since we began the nodal axis shift with Pluto in Capricorn squaring the nodes, we already know there is a much bigger perspective at play with this axis. Pluto, lord of the underworld, intense transformation and transmutation, death and rebirth, the alchemical path. In evolutionary astrology, Pluto represents the purpose of the soul, the particular evolutionary journey that must be embraced and embodied by each of us in our contribution to the evolution of the collective. This is not conscious energy. This belongs to the realm of the collective subconscious and unconscious, and plays out through intense experiences and feelings in order for us to awaken to a deeper part of ourselves that needs healing, purification, and release. When we begin to work more consciously and collaboratively with Pluto's intention, his power, his love, and wisdom is available to us, supporting and facilitating tremendous and accelerated transformation of the parts of our lives that require it. Pluto began squaring the nodes in March and will continue until November, which is a solid amount of time to be dealing with this energy. The square demands decisive change, and what that change is felt strongly. With Pluto involved, it's an undeniable force, and resisting is futile. In fact, it can be experienced as outright destruction. With the outer planets, resistance to a change that we are being invited to align ourselves with only makes it harder for us, until we accept that the intelligence of the cosmos knows far better than our human minds, and we decide to engage with the energies with the intention of love and play. Pluto entered Aquarius in March and has now retrograded back into Capricorn, which represents our societal structures, our orientation towards ambition and achievement, our hierarchies, the traditions that have been upheld, our material security, our financial, corporate, industrial institutions, everything that is crystallized, hardened into enduring form. Especially as Pluto entered the final degrees of Capricorn and then the first degree of Aquarius, we have witnessed incredible rupture, shattering, and destruction in markets, corporations, banks, between nations, as well as accelerated development in technology. Pluto also is a revealer of truth, and so much has surfaced in terms of what has been hidden by corporate media and people in positions of power. In the esoteric and metaphysical communities, there has been accelerated revelation of ancient hidden knowledge, discoveries pertaining to the arts of transmutation and powers of manifestation, and the increasing consumption of these teachings in order to transform reality through one's own power and heal generational wounds is very Plutonian. Wherever Pluto is in our charts right now is where whatever structures and patterns have thus far been sustained and maintained, it's time for a massive transformation, a death to allow a new birth. Squaring the nodes right at the beginning of the signs shifting means that our destiny points, wherever they are in our charts, are being blasted with the decree of Pluto. He demands a breaking down of whatever still remains of the old and serves no purpose and is a point of stagnation. And it is the Aries part of our chart that needs to take the lead and fulfill this necessary transformation. And this is supported by releasing any inauthentic, confused, imbalanced, and powerless tendencies in the Libra parts of our chart. There is a completely new sense of self that is required here, and one that has already been developing for a while now since Chiron entered Aries in 2018. When the wounded healer enters a sign, we are first very tender and experience the pains of that part of our psyche. Then, as we gradually grow more conscious of what is happening inwardly and therefore outwardly, that insight serves to heal that part of us, and we grow into far more expansive, compassionate, and loving entities. Since this has been in Aries, our sense of selves as expressed in the world through our ability to act, our courage, our freedom, our confidence, the power of our instincts, our vitality, and the witnessing of what burgeons forth from us and our inspired visions has been undergoing significant treatment. We would have experienced what felt like deep cuts to the ego. We may have had times where we felt impotent, incapable, fearful, and insecure. And if so, we've had to recognize this and rebuild our inner security from a space of great love and compassion for the self. This itself is a significant maturing of Aries energy and has provided us and the collective with a self that has much more genuine potency, ability, and confidence than ever before. The way we see and carry ourselves by the time the North Node entered Aries is very different from 5-6 years ago. And now it's time to take it to the next level. Pluto demands it, the North Node demands it, and they're working together to make that known in this square. Pluto squaring the South Node in Libra means there is no more time or space for mental games of performance or keeping up appearances for personal validation and societal acceptance. We can no longer ignore and allow destructive patterns of behavior, toxic cultures, and harmful social structures to continue by trying to disguise these realities with fanciful words or portraying them as prettier than they are. The South Node in Libra is under somewhat duress to purge the ways of injustice, disharmony, falsehood, and imbalance that we see everywhere in the collective. But the collective is made up of each and every one of us individuals, and is together that we do this. That is when Libra is truly beautiful, when we operate for each other, with each other, in true connection, working towards the purpose of healthy interdependence, understanding deeply that our planet and everything in it, on it, needs this togetherness, this respect, this value given to all, this restoration of balance that beautifies everything that we cherish. Therefore, both individually and collectively, this nodal axis is particularly significant during this year because it is being jump-started with the power of Pluto, which leaves no stone unturned in its pursuit for purity, an intense form of love that is born from alchemizing what was into what will be. And neither a square nor Pluto are the easiest energies to work with, but they are incredibly powerful, and that's apparently what we need now. We need this force to make things happen, to heal, to regain a true balance between our relationship to self and others, because we can only relate as well to others as we can to ourselves, which is the gift of the Aries-Libra axis. This is a very exciting time for us as we step into the energies of adventure, innovation, and freedom, always remembering that whatever we individually are becoming is part of the whole. We conceive of ourselves as separate for the sake of the earth game we're playing, but in reality we are all one, and when we understand ourselves as that unified field of loving consciousness, every sign expresses itself in its most beautiful and exhilarating form. So here's me wishing all of us the most graceful, invigorating, liberating, and transformative journey through the nodes, renewing our natural power, the fire that is our creative spirit.